So obviously a lot of eyes will be on Blake Shapen as camp gets going. He enters his second full season as a starter. He did get some time, of course, at the end of the 2021 season. Really showed some flashes of brilliance, including the Big 12 championship game that season. But Blake was, by pretty much all accounts, even Aranda and probably even Shapen's own accounts, it was a little disappointing of a season for him last year. There was some thought. I mentioned Sawyer Robertson. There was some thought that when Dave Aranda brought him in from Mississippi State, that might be the replacement for Blake. And then Aranda names Shapen as the starter after spring drills. So you got a chance to talk to Blake at Big 12 Media Days. What were just kind of your early impressions? And, this may not be completely fair for Blake, but do you feel like it's a make or break season for him?
I feel like it's 100% a make or break season for him. And I think he feels the exact same way. And I think, being the eternal optimist that I am, I think I lean more that he's going to make than break. I'm still kind of on the Shapen train. Maybe that's because I've only been around him a little bit here. But I think the one thing that stood out to me at media days, both from him and from Aranda, is you talked about that ownership that Aranda is not afraid to take. If he screws up or does something wrong, he's going to kind of own up to it. And I think that both he and Shapen kind of understand that, especially the way the season ended last year. Maybe Shapen was kind of hearing his name too much. He was seeing his name in lights and kind of eating some of the positive feedback too much that was coming to him. And I think he's kind of centered himself. I think having Sawyer here to kind of push him has been a good thing, right? I think he's a little bit, Sawyer was a 4-star prospect when he went to Mississippi State. And so that's a little bit more of a kick in the butt than I think he's had. And so I think, yes, it's 100% a make or break season. And I think he understands that last year was not good enough and he needs to step up. And I think he will, because we've seen, I know the 2021 game against Oklahoma State is kind of legendary at this point in
Right.
his book. But he's obviously got it in him. Now it's just got to be kind of doing it consistently. And with all the receivers and Richard Reese coming back, like, I think that offense is set up to be pretty elite. And Shapen he's got it in him. He just got to do it now.
Yeah, and I think some excellent points there. I agree with you really 100% in terms of, I think I've probably said it here on the podcast before, probably multiple times last season. I still feel like Blake has good days left in front of him, like good performances and maybe even his best football yet to come. And so, last year was his first full year as a starter. There was a learning curve, and the schedule was tough. I do feel like it breaks back in Baylor's direction this year. He's got a year of experience. I think that Jeff Grimes and the offensive coaches, Sean Bell and those guys, probably understand a little bit better what they have in both Blake and maybe some of the guys around him, and what works well and what maybe doesn't. And I felt like sometimes last season they shackled him too much. I wanted to see him take a few more shots down the field. He's got all the talent in the world. He was not only in high school a great football prospect, he was a great baseball prospect. He was just a tremendous athlete. And so, like I said, I do feel like, his best days are ahead. And I thought you made a good point about Sawyer pushing him. When Blake played some of his best football was that 2021 season when Gary Bohannon was here. And they had that competition, and so sometimes a guy just needs to be pushed. And so maybe we'll see that out of Blake this year. But I'm with you. It is definitely a make or break season. There's too many good quarterbacks on the roster. And certainly if Blake does struggle, I could see them bringing Sawyer in, and seeing how he goes. And so we'll see.